Achoo! Little bug going across. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. I don't mean Omar when I said the little bug going across my screen.
Just
An,
get slapped.
an actual little bug flying across. But it's one of those humid, sticky nights. Actually, it's cooled down. It's actually cooled down now. Yeah, I don't know what it's like with where you guys are, but let us know where you guys are viewing in from. As I said, worldwide show. Welcome to Khanage, the first pre-match hype show of the season. My God, it's getting closer and closer. Even though we're still pre-season, we're still getting excited. With every pre-season game, the excitement builds more and more. Oh, I love it. Football's nearly here. Liverpool are here. So welcome everyone. We've got a few people waiting in the chat already. Nice one. Don't forget to like if you haven't already. You would have subscribed because you can only comment and view if you're a subscriber. Ahmed says, "Hi Grizz, I'm back too as you are. Good luck once again, mate, for the show. Top lad, and say hi to Steve. Well, have a chance to say hi to yourself to Steve. Don't be shy, Ahmed. Don't be shy. Say hello to Steve yourself. Steve's here.
Steve's #1 fan.
Oh, that's
Absolutely.
nice. That's nice.
Absolutely.
Hello, good evening, and thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. There you go. Yes, Grizz, Ste and Omar. Absolutely. People already started talking, throwing in questions. Hi, Grizz, this is Carvalho Quid has settled in nicely, hasn't he? Chilling out with the South Americans, talking in Portuguese, chilling with the English lads, excited. What a lovely, lovely combination. There you go. Viva, Tom's in the house. Viva la Ste Plank. Okay.
Evening, Tom. Thanks for that, mate.
There you go. Wow, it looks like Steve's been on the pavement.
Yeah.
I like it.
Steve's skint all these fibers I'm sending out.
Steve's skint now. He's giving it all to all the people. Yeah, the usuals are coming in slowly. I'm assuming Love Island's finished. So come on, let's get this. Let's get off Island. Let's get in the stream. Let's get this going. Pixelate Pigeon, of course, in the building as well. Club channel member as well. But yeah, people, welcome. We're looking forward to. Mostly, we're going to try to get through sort of the preseason friendly tomorrow with Crystal Palace, another Premier League team. This time in Singapore. The Reds move on from Thailand to Singapore now, ready for the second game of the preseason before they fly back, I believe, and then fly out, don't they, Steve? They fly back and then they fly out to Austria. Am I right?
Correct. They're playing both Salzburg and then they're playing Leipzig.
Absolutely, before the Charity Shield. So we're going to have a quick look forward to tomorrow's game, what we're expecting, what we want to see. Do we want to see increased in minutes or any combination of players that we'd like to see? We'll get into all that. But we had a bit of more breaking news this morning and something to do with the commercial side of things. And of course, we know Liverpool and FSG have done very good things, brilliant things on the pitch, but they've been amazing off the pitch, haven't they, Steve? Absolutely juggernaut off the pitch. And today was no different because today we got the news this morning that we have an extension to the partnership for a further 4 years with Standard Chartered. The principal partner and shirt sponsor since 2010, and the existing agreement was due to end next summer. A lot of speculation, Steve, that we were going to get into sort of possibly entertaining bids from other companies, and I knew of Chevron's interested in us. I tweeted it a few weeks ago, a couple of months ago, but I don't mind the continuation. I like when there's a familiarity and a brand building with the current sponsors, and it kind of gives you a chance to just brand yourselves, and that's what we are right now, whether we like it or whether or not. We're a huge brand around world football, so I'm kind of okay with this. What's your thoughts on it?
No, I'm fine. I'm glad we didn't go down the crypto route as well, because I think that's very hit and miss. That would polarize your fan base. Some people are really dead against that. NFTs and things. They really haven't got to where they wanted to go to. So good to see it. It continues. It's part and parcel of who and what we are today. And with 4-year deal being in excess of £200 million, if you if you're one of those fans that wonders where the money's going to come from for signing players, well, this has answered your question, because in 4 years we've got £200 million to spend from this, plus prize money, plus gate receipts. Financially, we're fine, so there should be no more concerns about where money comes from, because this is revenue at our disposal to do as we please with. So really cool. I suppose some of that might go towards the redevelopment of the ground as well, but we're in good shape, and it's good to see. It's good that it's been done. I think there's only 2 deals in world football that are worth any more money than that, and that's not bad, is it really? We are finding our feet commercially these days. We're getting better at that type of thing, and we're going to need to, because we don't have flagrant financiers who give us money just to throw around. We don't buy people for the sake of buying people. We buy the right bodies. We say this every week. We have a conversation, but we buy the right bodies, and they cost us quite a lot of money to buy them. So getting opportunities like this and good commercial deals set up is a really strong thing for the club to do. So happy days. Another 4 years, £200 million plus. There's nothing not to like about that.
There isn't. Yeah, you're right. It's. I think there's only 2 clubs that've got a bigger sponsorship deal, but you've got to remember where we've come from,
Exactly.
and how we've caught up and overtaken many massive, huge deals that were ahead of us, and massive clubs as well. Ohms, you're a fan of the marketing side of things and the commercial side of things. Do you keep up to date with that going on? Because it's crucial to a club and an institution like Liverpool. It's absolutely amazing what we do off the pitch as well as on it, because the two coincide. It has to be relatable, like Steve says. When people ask about how to raise money for signings, etc., well, this is one avenue.
Yeah, I mean, Steve's pretty much hit the nail on the head there. I could literally echo what he said, so I'm not going to do that. I think for me, it helps being Liverpool Football Club and not only being successful on the pitch, but just the name it carries. So I'd imagine, like, you probably know more than me, but we probably got some pretty big offers. Like you said, from Chevron, like the interest will always be there. It's just about getting the right offer. And yeah, we have to compete somehow financially. So we have to do our best. We have to maximize our output, like here. And like the Nike deal is just testament to that. Like that is absolutely huge, going from New Balance to Nike. And then yeah, regarding the kit, I mean, if it's not like, I don't really mind who it is. I just want the kit to look nice. So like the Carlsberg kits used to look so good. We obviously can't have, I think, because of like there's so many like alcohol bans in like certain countries, it's probably not worth it. But I don't mind the look of the standard chartered on the kit. I probably, like, because we've had it for so long, just got used to it. So yeah, it's the kits look nice with it on, and yeah.
But it's interesting. But interesting, you say you don't see who, so you don't see or concentrate. But that's what I mean about familiarity. The continuation of standard chartered, it's just sort of a smooth transition into another 4 years. Do you know what I mean? I think, you know, brand building is all about familiarity and sort of when you see something, you associate something with that kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? So if we see Liverpool and we're associated with standard chartered almost synonymously, and vice versa too, it can only help. And I really like that. Our CEO Billy Hogan spoke on it when he says this is a hugely significant partnership for LFC, and I could not be prouder to confirm a 4-year extension to our long and successful partnership with Standard Chartered. We've been on an incredible journey. He just echoes what we says, and has been a key driver in our most recent success, both on and off the pitch, with their loyalty and commitment to football, the Liverpool Football Club. As Steve says, there's nothing not to like about this 4-year extension. 50 million as a base figure. So some people were saying, wow, I thought we were expecting more, 60, 70. We may not hit the 70, but I have a suspicion we may hit the 60 million figure mark, which is phenomenal. That's like, 50 million is the base, what I was told is the base fee, and plus bonuses, which these things always include. And then it end statement, it says Liverpool play Crystal Palace in Singapore on Friday in the Standard Chartered Trophy. So what great timing what that was, hey? A new sponsorship deal when we're playing in the Standard Chartered Trophy. Steve, normally I wouldn't No, maybe I would. Normally, we wouldn't mention what trophy we're playing for. Just the fact that Liverpool are playing a game would be enough to excite us. But I'm quite excited about tomorrow. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing the lads play. I think what we need to impress here is, yes, it would be nice to win the trophy given its name and where it's come from and its standard chartered, but this is not why we're doing pre-season. So all the people had a meltdown the other day when we lost. It hurts, it stings to lose to Manchester United in tiddlywinks. Never mind anything at all. You know, anything you do with them, you want to win. But it's just about miles on the clock. You know, getting time on the pitch, getting used to playing competitive football, going into challenges with people, getting back in routine and rhythm with your teammates. Like we saw that lovely little bit of skill down the right hand side between Trent and Mo. Those are the things that we need to see happening again. The result to Jurgen Klopp means as much as the result on the training ground at the AXA last Tuesday afternoon. He's really not interested in the result. So what I want to see is players playing in the positions where we want to see them play, because there's a lot of square pegs and round holes because of the sheer numbers that we used the other night. And he has said that we're not quite at the stage where players will do 45 minutes yet. So we may use 30 players again on tomorrow, which is okay. But I just would like to see a bit more. There was a lack of cohesion in that game. I haven't had a chance to talk to you about that game because we've not been on air since.
I just want to quickly good farewell, good night to F. Jacobs because he's going to sleep now. Thank you very much, my friend. Thank you for popping in. Sorry, I always like to bid him farewell.
Cohesion.
Sorry.
It was cohesion. We lacked cohesion, and Manchester United had it in abundance because they pretty much played their strongest side throughout the game with some changes, but nothing like we did. So it's really difficult to have patterns of play, to have familiarity, to have what you come to know as muscle memory with certain players. It was disjointed at times and it lacked cohesion. What I'd like to see is a little bit more playing players in the proper positions, no square pegs and round holes. And maybe bring more of the first teamers on together, because if you have a smattering of first team players and then you have two really young fullbacks and you have Reece Williams come in and, you know, he must be feeling it because he made a mistake that cost us a goal, then they don't gel. And it would be nice to see the first teamers or a majority of the first teamers come together and give us something that really whets our appetite for the start of the season. I'll never tire of watching anybody who pulls on a Liverpool shirt, same as you, mate. And I love that. I'm excited by that. But I thought the other day, you know, when we played United, the lack of cohesion was all too evident for us to see. But nevertheless, the lads are back at it tomorrow in Singapore. It'll be hot. We'll get a great reception. It'll be much the same as Bangkok in terms of the atmosphere within the stadium, and hopefully, it would only be fitting to win a trophy that is supplied by our sponsors, wouldn't it?
Yeah, amazing the way it's panned out. It's almost like it was planned, but you know, it is what it is.
What are you suggesting?
Omar, how are you feeling about tomorrow? Because I agree with Steve. Yeah, look, I could watch under 18, 17, 16s, the women's team, as long as Liverpool are represented. I'm excited. But saying all that, when it's pre-season, yeah, the early first game, because you got to remember the fact that it was Man United, as Steve says, was significant, because usually this is a nice little run out against Tranmere. Usually in years gone by, this is a nice little Summer's Day run out against Tranmere, and it wouldn't get the traction or the coverage that it got. The fact that it was Man United, it gave it a little bit more traction and a little more coverage. But Jurgen Klopp didn't give a shit. He used 32 players, which suggests he's got his plan. Him and his coaches have got together and got a plan. Do you see it changing tomorrow much? And do you want to see it change too much? Or are you one of those, yeah, just whoever, I'm happy to see William, whatever. Where are you at?
The way they work, they've definitely planned what they're going to do in both of these games before they've got on the flights. Like everyone knows their minutes. Everyone knows what the plan is, which I kind of like. But at the same time, it's like, I don't like just a chopping and changing, like seeing 30 players on the pitch. It just doesn't feel like genuine football, and like that's what you kind of seek.
Yeah, it's literally a training session, isn't it? It's a monetized, televised training session.
Yeah, and I like, fair enough, like it's nice to see the players and stuff, but I said this last time, like just the early parts of pre-season just don't really excite me, to be honest. Like when everyone like what I'd want to see is just some sort of Steve touched on it. I would want to see like some. Well done, you're hosting now, yeah.
No, because there was a comment and it triggered me. So I fixed it.
I can put it back.
We can carry on. Of course you got a power.
I just want to see the I just want to see the
Yeah,
I won't. I just want to see like players that are going to be in the first team, like sort of have connections and like play together. So like the likes of Trent and Salah, maybe have Nunes and Diaz on at the same time. Maybe Robertson and Diaz. Maybe have like I liked he had like Fabinho, Thiago together. So Van Dijk, Khanage together. So I like that. It's just it's so hard to like engross yourself into a game where like the result doesn't really matter, and like it's just a glorified training session, like you say. So it's so hard for me to get up for it. Of course, like if you see like Liverpool score a goal, you're going to be happy. But then like the fact that it doesn't matter, it doesn't count. It takes the edge away from it. I think when we get to like the final game of pre-season and like you can start to see what the starting team is going to look like, what Klopp's like. So Klopp normally goes full strength in that game. Then it's exciting and everyone's like bang on the money. Everyone's like excited. The team are flowing. But for now, I understand the plan, but like it's not just a tour for pre-season. It's a commercial trip as well. So there's so many different factors going into it.
Yeah, Jurgen Klopp alluded to it today in the press conference. He was talking about sort of from a coach's point of view, it's not ideal because we're gone from the days of the margins are so fine, Steve. We often talk about margins in this game, especially the level that we're operating at, right? And just that week away in those conditions could be the difference in the first couple of games from, a narrow draw or a defeat, just because the players have been jet lagged or whatever, every single part of the preparation has to be spot on. So he was saying from that angle, it's not ideal, even though we absolutely respect and welcome and we understand that as a global institution, obviously post-COVID, we need to do these trips to the places and countries where it's not easy to see their heroes. Do you know what I mean? They absolutely have to respect and understand that, but we know what he means, right?
Oh, totally. Everything changes. Altitude, temperature, muscle degradation, oxygenation in your blood, and all that stuff all changes because of the conditions that you play in. So it kind of would have been, I get this point, it kind of would have been better to go to Prenton Park and play Tranmere. It's 15 minutes from my house, so I'd love them to do that because I'd be there to watch all these kids play for Liverpool. But you're right, there is an obligation to visit far-flung countries and spread the word and spread our good faith and get the love of the club upwards. And there's a big commercial part of that, and that lends itself to selling more shirts. And at the end of the day, football is now driven more by money than by sport, so it's an absolute must. But it would be good. It would be good. It would be better. I get his point to be at home, to be at the AXA, and then jump on a coach to Crewe or jump on a coach to Tranmere or go to Preston North End or somewhere. That the games are no more taxing, whether you're playing Manchester United or Preston North End. The games themselves are pre-season friendlies where if you put in a really heavy 50-50 challenge, everybody on the pitch tells you off because you're bringing into putting the risk on someone starting the season with an injury by flying into challenges. They're not really competitive games of football. They're more about muscle memory and running and stuff like that. And in this case, commercial revenue. So I get his point, but you're right, Grizz. It has to be done. We're a global brand, and we've got to go out there and spread the love.
That's what it is. Spread the love, spread the name. Pixelated Pigeon channel member sends in a super chat, says, I feel sorry for fans who paid a big premium on Monday to see a match be treated like a glorified training session. Awkward timing to play United. I guess I get that it could have been timed a little bit later, maybe, possibly second or third game. That's the only downside. because he's got a point. A lot of people would have paid a lot of money. But then, yeah, they should have known. How dare I say this? But do you know what I mean, lads? Like, they should have known better.
I understand both sides of the argument. I understand Klopp's probably, like, as much as if I'm a fan and like Liverpool are coming to Thailand and I'm so excited, you obviously want to see your Salahs, your Van Dijks, your Thiagos play for as long as possible. I completely understand that, and I do, like, if I was a fan, I'd be a bit annoyed, not annoyed, but gutted that I've probably paid a lot of money.
Gutted is the word, yeah. No, yeah.
And like, I'm seeing half an hour with Johnny Clark, or what's his name?
Exactly. You don't
Bobby
exactly.
Clark.
Bobby Clark.
Exactly that.
Kenny Hill, whatever his name is. Like, fair enough. Like, I understand, but then I understand, like, Klopp's side. One, the experience for the youngsters. Like, I think it's so good to bring the youngsters on tour. Thomas Tuchel took one youngster on tour to America with Chelsea, which I think is a bad thing. I think if you want your youngsters to feel that sort of like atmosphere around the team, like what a high level preseason looks like, then it's this. And like the sort of exposure you get from traveling around the world, that there's nothing better as a youngster. Like, it gives you a massive like boost. But then Klopp's got his plan, and like it's for him, like, as much as it's commercial and everything, he's got a job to do, and he needs to set his team up to get them prepared as well as possible for Fulham on the opening day. So he has a methodical plan that he sticks to, and we're clearly seeing that. So it's hard. It's so hard because both sides you can understand, but yeah, I think that the worst thing was the timing. It's.
I mean, look. Sleeping Dragon, we of course appreciate you know, the comment, and that's what I brought out, because Liverpool meeting more corporate obligations, playing the Standard Chartered Cup in the financial hub that is Singapore, again, no benefit to the team again. Look, Sleeping Dragon, I appreciate you saying that, but it is the long term. You have to look at the long term picture, which in effect, the way Steve explained it, and I tried to explain it, does affect the team that you support and that you love in the long term. You know, these are the kind of trips that are the reason why we're Liverpool Football Club. We're a global club, my brother. We need these corporate games. We need these corporate connections to get the money in, to get the players that we strive for, we thrive for, we wish, we demand sometimes. Do you know what I mean? It's all part and parcel of the bigger circle. Sorry, Steve, did you want to come in on that?
No, it's just interesting. I just want to go back to the point that was made just a second ago by Ohms, that they would have been gutted because they didn't see Salah, they didn't see Nunez, they didn't see Diaz, and all those guys in the same team. I don't know whether that is the case, because Liverpool came to town as an entity. Liverpool Football Club came to town. And all of those lads, to your residents of Bangkok, all of those lads play for Liverpool. Whether your name is Bobby Clark or Virgil van Dijk, you play for Liverpool. So that makes you a hero to those people, because they don't have the same intensity that we have, because it's on our doorstep, if that makes sense. So the 30 players, they saw 30 players play for Liverpool. What they would be disappointed in was the result, as we all were, but we'll all get over that. Once Man United have had their parade and it's Sky have uncovered it, then there's no issue, is there? But I think that's the fact that Liverpool Football Club turned up as an entity, and all these players came out and played for Liverpool in Bangkok, would have been an absolute treat for the locals. The only downside being the result for me. Yeah,
no, absolutely. But yeah, look, he was always going to take. I mean, he's got a history of taking youngsters, hasn't he, on these trips? I mean, I didn't know that about Tommy Tuchel, like, if that's confirmed.
I think it is. Yeah, I'll double check it, but yeah, I think.
But it just shows you what kind of manager is. He's always looking ahead, you know, and he knows that this will be invaluable to the youngsters. And when we say youngsters, even the ones that won't have a career at Liverpool, you know, it will be invaluable for them in terms of moves away. And obviously the likes of Jones and Carvalho, and well, obviously it's a shame Ramsey couldn't make it, but for sure, you know, the likes of Harvey Elliott, which I want to speak about next, because again, he spoke about Harvey Elliott, lads. Again, in the press conference today, he singled out Harvey Elliott as a player who can make a significant impact. We hate hearing this, like a new signing. But unfortunately, or fortunately, or however you want to take it and look upon it, it's the truth. It's the fact of the matter is, Omar, that Jurgen Klopp really believes in this kid, and the evidence and proof is there from the start of last season. So come last season in the similar stage, do you remember, guys, we started talking about Harvey Elliott in preseason and how much of an impact he could possibly make. And he made such an impact that Jurgen Klopp started him in the first 4 games. Omar, is there a case building, or is Elliott building a case for something similar? Because again, the Liverpool boss remains strong in his belief that the Reds do not need to add to another midfielder to the ranks, and says Elliott is one of the reasons why.
Yeah, I completely agree with Klopp. I mean, there's a reason we're not going all out for midfielder now. It's because you don't want to block the path of Harvey Elliott, Fabio Carvalho, Curtis Jones, or whatever. Eunice makes this point. Like, from what I've seen from training, Harvey Elliott looks so sharp. He looks strong. He looks focused. He looks like he knows he's got to really step up another level to really cement his place. And he did before his injury. He was that Leeds game was a perfect example. Before his injury, it was him, Fabinho, Thiago midfield, and a packed Ellen Road, like probably their biggest game with fans since they came back to the Premier League.
Yeah,
at the time.
absolutely. I remember that.
Like, I remember that the pressure of that game was immense, and Elliott just stepped into it and absolutely bossed it. He bossed it against. I thought he was really good against Chelsea. Burnley at home, very good as well. So I think someone said in the comments, "Don't be surprised if he starts that." But I won't be surprised. I think Klopp has such huge ambitions for him, and I personally, I think he's the world is his oyster, as Evan said the other day. It's there for him. He just needs to take his chance, and like I think he will. I think he will. Like we could see him being in Klopp's plans because of how much he played last preseason. I'll be interested to see at the back end of preseason how involved he is, because there's no reason why he shouldn't be starting that first game, in my opinion.
Oh, in the league?
Yeah, I do think there's a big chance. I think Klopp. I think something we used to maybe criticize Klopp a bit of was like you'd sort of know in his early days, you'd know what he'd do with like his team. Like sometimes he might have played it a bit safe, but I think in the last couple of seasons he's thrown players into the deep end a lot more. Like he started Harvey Elliott straight away at the San Siro. I think Curtis Jones against Man City, like he wasn't afraid to drop Jordan Henderson for a FA Cup semi-final, Europa League semi-final as well. Not Europa. What am I saying? Champions League semi-final. So Klopp's being more brave with his selections. So I expect that to continue, and I expect him to really want to involve the likes of Elliott, Jones, and Carvalho. So I expect to see a lot of them this season.
Steve, I'm looking forward to. I agree with him on what he said in terms of he is looking fantastic, and I wouldn't be surprised if he starts the first game of the season. I don't expect him to at this stage, but I wouldn't be surprised. And that's the beauty of it, right? When you're not surprised that a 19-year-old could step and start into this team, because that's the kind of level we want throughout the squad, right?
100%. And if you're good enough, doesn't matter how old you are. We put Michael Owen in the side. He made his debut at 16. So, at the end of the day, like I say, if they're good enough, they're old enough. I'm excited to see him and Carvalho. I thought both of them were really good the other day in bits and pieces. When they were on the ball, a couple of really sharp, incisive passes, really good appreciation of where the runners were. And I think it's quite telling, because these are the future of the football club. And, Jordan Henderson's a tremendous captain. Let's not lose sight of that. but we have to succession plan, and we have to manage his career now, approaching 32, having had a horrendous injury at the back end of the season before the last one, which did play its part and take its toll on him. So it's really good to see these young lads getting the nod, and I think Klopp's thinking, let's rewind back 12 months ago and start the Harvey Elliott experiment again right now. And he's good enough and he's ready. Puts us under pressure a little bit defensively on that right-hand side because he's not the same player as a Jordan Henderson, who's been tremendous at filling in when Trent's gone beyond him. But it's really interesting to see what happens. And there'll be games when we play with a 6 and there'll be Carvalho on the left and Elliott on the right, or Jones on the left and Elliott on the right. These young kids are going to play more and more and more of a part in the football club because we've got to test the water. We've got to understand if these guys are good enough against everybody that we might play. And the first game of the season, or the first telling game of the season, home to Chelsea, Henderson sat on the bench and Elliott started. And I think we might see a bit more of that. And I'm not against it. I think it's good to plan for the future.
Got a super chat that sort of something that we're gonna jump onto, but kind of possibly segues into the part we're talking about. LFCR 786 says, Grizz, I can't get my head around the fact that because Ox wants to stay, we won't get a midfielder to improve us. How does that make sense? Letting a player hold us ransom, which could affect our success. Well, first and foremost, it's not a fact that Ox wants to stay. We think Ox may want to stay. So there's no fact there, bro. Look, if you want my opinion on the situation, yes, we've said it again and again and again. I'd love us to get any money for Oxlade-Chamberlain and bring in a midfielder that Jurgen Klopp, not me, not Omar, not you, not Ste, not all the people on Twitter, Jurgen Klopp will utilize more, because it's very apparent that Jurgen Klopp hasn't utilized Ox in the last 6 to 8 months. I think it's fair to say. The only time Jurgen Klopp utilized Oxlade-Chamberlain was when the AFCON was taking place, and he used him as a right winger, and Oxlade-Chamberlain done very well. Am I boring you, Ohms?
No, sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, just really rude.
Yawning away, God, I've got to teach you so much about this game. But we'll get there in the end. Don't you worry. But yeah, look, Oxlade-Chamberlain. I know Steve, I've asked you about this situation so many times, but obviously we got to pay respect to the super chat and put the question forward again to the panel. Like, I can't get around the fact that we've left it this late in this situation. I think we've praised the brilliant work the people behind the contracts and the recruitment team have done. There's no harm in sometimes saying that this one we could have handled or dealt with better, because it does seem like Oxlade won't force a move because he knows there's a free contract, signing on fee and lovely wages coming at for his last contract of his career, which we can't, deny him. And it's obviously, seemingly, we're not going to accept the low ball bid we got for the likes of Fulham today, who made a very feeble offer in the region of £6-7 million today for Oxlade-Chamberlain, which was refused. We're in our right to refuse that. He's in his right to refuse to go. It is a bit of a tricky situation, especially on the back of Jurgen Klopp saying again and again and again, we will only dip into the market if someone comes to me and says he wants to leave.
Yeah, and it's Oxlade-Chamberlain's prerogative to decide whether to do that or not to do that. And then if it doesn't fit and it's not working for the club, it's up to the club to decide to move him on, irrespective of that. Football contracts these days work on the basis that if he doesn't want to leave and we ask him to leave, we'll have to pay him to leave. That's the way these contracts work. These guys expect some form of a payout on the remaining time within their contract. If we get a bid that suits the football club, twice what you just said, and maybe a little bit more, or certainly around the 12 million mark for me, think gets them over the line. That £12 million will not replace a player like Oxlade-Chamberlain. Someone's getting a good player on the cheap because of his contractual situation, if you ask me. You can't go and spend £12 million and replace him like for like. I've said it before. That money will just get banked, and we'll carry on. Clearly, Klopp is happy with the situation where it is because he knows his own mind, and if he was unhappy with it, he'd be forcing the situation to be resolved. There will be games when Oxlade-Chamberlain plays. He will probably play in all of the early rounds of both domestic cups, and in situations like last year where we qualified for the Champions League group stages after 4 games. You might see him play a little bit in the last 2 games of the Champions League. I don't see the sense in taking 6, 7, 8 million for the guy. I just don't doesn't make any sense to me. For the depth of the squad and for the remainder of the season, it would be better that we made the decision to let him see out the remainder of his contract and leave on a free. So I'm not sure I get my head around the holding the club to ransom, because we're not actively trying to sell him, and he's saying no. He's not Frankie de Jong, who's sitting there saying, I don't want to go to that football club. Stop trying to sell me to that football club. I don't want to go there. That's not happening. Like you say, I've had a derisory offer today for him. That might trigger 1 or 2 others looking at it going, actually, do you know what? For 10 million, there's little risk in signing a player of that quality. So we might see Southampton, who've just signed a Rebo from Rangers, go, why not stick him in a midfield 3 with a Rebo, Ward-Prowse and him, which would be quite a good midfield 3 for someone like Southampton. So if it happens, then fine. Has it been handled badly? That would depend on how Jurgen Klopp saw Oxlade-Chamberlain's role this season. And I don't think Klopp's a man that sort of messes around with situations. I don't think he trusts him implicitly. I think the Nottingham Forest game proved that when he took him off after about, I don't know how long it was, but Oxlade-Chamberlain was clearly annoyed by that. But he didn't do what Klopp would have wanted him to do. He would have wanted him to be the best player on the pitch. He would have wanted him to be saying, why aren't you picking me with Salah and Mane and all those guys? Why am I playing in the second string? His time at the club is coming to an end, we know that. If we get a £10 million bid, we'll probably sell him for 10 million. We'd probably look for 12. If that doesn't happen and we keep getting silly bids like today, he'll stay with the club and he'll leave in the summer on a free. And I think Jurgen Klopp is okay with either.
Holmes, are you okay with either? I'm a little bit in disagreement with Steve. I would take, but it's not my money, you see. I would take anything for him. And the reason why I say that is not because of the value of Ox per se. I'm talking about in terms of the value of Ox to the team, because it's very apparent that Klopp doesn't trust him. He's playing the likes of Jones and Elliott ahead of him. And so therefore, I'd prefer that money. And I agree that money couldn't be used for like in terms of value for another replacement, but we could put that money towards another replacement like Matheus Nunes, who've been linked with very strongly of Sporting Lisbon. That's how I look at it. I know it's a difficult one, but I mean, I don't know. What do you think of what we
Look, I think I'll just say this. I think Oxlade-Chamberlain gets treated really harshly by the fan base, considering this guy, he's not someone that starts most games. He sits on the bench most games, and he plays the cup games, and he's filled in for some league games and whatever. And when he filled in this season, I thought he did well. I think we hold him to a standard where every time he's on the pitch, it feels like he needs to prove himself. So every game is a crunch game for him. So if he doesn't play well, for example, Nottingham Forest away, then everyone's writing him off already. Look, if he's probably not in our top 5, 6 midfield options. So if he's your 7th choice option, then I'm happy with that. Even if we
but in response to that, because there's talk of him being on about 120k. I mean, that's a high wage for a 7th, 8th choice, right?
Yeah, but going back to the super chat, even if we got rid of Oxlade-Chamberlain this year, that wouldn't guarantee we get a midfielder. I still don't see us getting a midfielder. unless it's we get the right one, which is
No, I think we do. No, I genuinely think if we get rid of a midfielder, and Klopp's even alluded to it. He said it, Holmes. He said it in press conferences. He said he doesn't say there's no more incomings. He's literally said, I don't know, Steve, back me up on this. He's literally said, if somebody leaves, then we will look at the situation. Which, in my opinion, that is the most explicit you're going to get from Jurgen Klopp in admitting, yes, we will bring in someone.
I think I'm not saying we won't, but I'm like we know Klopp is. We'll only bring in someone if it's the right player, and is the right player available right now? Probably not. Like unless I don't know something, and Jude Bellingham is available this.
But I don't think we're after just one player. I've often given my opinion on the situation. By the way, this is embarrassing if we've only got 94 likes, like nearly 300 people watching.
Do you know why?
It's your yawns.
It's
you yawning. No, it's you yawning. Put that back, you little brat. It's you yawning in midstream. That's what it is. That put people off. But do you know why I don't think that's true? Because I genuinely believe the ultimate plan, every club has an ultimate plan. I think the plan was Tchouaméni this window and Bellingham next window. Like, there's no doubt we need two midfielders in the next 2-3 windows. And if that's the case, Bellingham is not attainable this window, then there is someone like Nunes who's available for around the 30 million mark, who is available this window. And so therefore, that's why I think if Bellingham's not attainable this window, I think someone like Nunes is for sure available this window. And I think there's no doubt we'd go for it.
Why would Nunes come now though? If you see the amount of people that I don't care. People talk about the quality of midfield. You can have your own opinions on it, whatever. Everyone has their own opinion on our midfield. But what is a fact is the sheer amount of players we have in those positions that can play in those positions. And Klopp's not just going to disband players, whether you like it or not. A player like James Milner is going to have many key parts to play this season, whether you like it or not. He's off the bench, one of the first guys Klopp goes to pretty much most games. Klopp, if we know him as we think we know him, he's not going to want to block the path of Harvey Elliott, Curtis Jones, Fabio Carvalho yet. I would be really surprised if he did by getting in someone now like a Nunes and did that. I think this season, I can't see that happening. Maybe next season, when Klopp's made his mind up on the youngsters and we maybe see Curtis Jones go and Oxlade's gone, then I can see a scenario where we just get another two midfielders who will walk into a lot of games.
Just hold your thought on Klopp, and people don't forget because I know it's easy to forget what Alma's just said, but he said something very significant into where we're going to segue into. But I just want to get a couple of super chats. He says it's not the original super chat LFCR 786. It's not about the money though. It's about replacing a player with a better player. Period. I thought we were over the sell to buy stuff. I don't think it's about the sell to buy stuff though. I agree with you. It's about replacing a better player or a more trusted player by Jurgen Klopp. I agree with that part. But the answer to your question is I think we are over the buy to sell stuff. It's not about the money scenario. Jurgen Klopp is just, and I'll explain why just in the next segment. He goes on to say, just wish we were more ruthless, we'd win more. But the reason why I wanted to hold that thought, what Omar said, he also speaks about, guys, loyalty, trust. And we can say it's a weakness of Klopp, and many will tell you it's a strength of Klopp. So he spoke upon it again. He said, Jurgen Klopp had his say on the fans that quickly dismiss a player from contention based on one bad game or season. So, i.e., Oxlade-Chamberlain is probably a prime example of what he was referring to, right, guys? That's a reference to what he was referring to. And he's more loyal than majority of the fan base, is more patient than the majority of us. He will believe and trust in his players more than us, and he talks about it. He says, if you go through the quality of the players we have, it's really, really high. People make one mistake. They underestimate the chance that a player didn't play his best season this year might play the best season the next year. It's like football fans, I'm not sure all, but some don't give people the chance to improve. Or what he was alluding to was, look, people that have had shit seasons, I know why I bought them. I've got trust and faith in them. So, I mean, I don't know who you want to give an example to, guys, from last season or the season before who had a shit season but really improved.
Well,
last season, who was the most improved player, for example?
I'd probably say Keita was.
There you go.
In terms of like availability, in terms of how he played, I thought Keita had a very good season last year compared to before.
I mean, he goes on to say, "Thank God I'm not like this. I judge potential as much as the last season. Actually, the last season is not really interesting. It's gone. When a player didn't perform on his highest level, it's 50% my fault." I think he was generous there. Don't know what you guys think, but he goes, "I have to improve." He goes on to say, "I have to improve. I have to say the right things. I have to say the better things. I have to help him in a better way, because it's not about the potential of these players that is incredibly high. It's about bringing it onto the pitch. And why should we stop that after a year where we nearly won 4 trophies? I know we didn't, but we were as close as somehow possible."
This loyalty thing with Klopp, right? Strength, weakness, whatever. I agree with Chris. It's both, right? But I think it's more of a strength than a weakness. And the reason is because it pretty much I'd say 90% of players Jurgen Klopp has got hold of, he's boosted their level to a level we didn't think could happen. He makes every football player feel like the most important football player in the world. And as much as people like take the piss out of Klopp saying, "Oh, he's a cheerleader, he's just a motivator," whatever, ignoring his tactical side, like football, and you can quote so many people in the world of football for saying this. Football is like 80% mental and 20% physical. Everyone in the Premier League can play football. It's just I would trust Klopp to maximize the potential out of pretty much every player he gets his hands on, because he makes them feel so special. He makes them feel like they are a very, very talented footballer. I'd rather a manager like that, who sometimes might be a bit too loyal. Like there are he might stick with a plan, or he might be a bit too stubborn, stick with a plan, stick with a system, stick with a set of players who aren't in good form for a bit too long. But I think in the overall picture, on like the balance of probabilities, it's so much. I'd rather that than someone who's like chopping and changing, having a go at their players. You can't, as a manager, you have
Mourinho.
Yeah, Mourinho. And how many dressing rooms has Mourinho broken? As great as he is as a manager, as one of the greatest managers of all time, he's ruined. Like he's toxic. Klopp isn't toxic. Klopp. If you speak to any player under Klopp, they say, "Oh, he's like a father figure to me." Even Oxlade-Chamberlain, how upset he was with like not being in squads at times. You could see like even like at was it the FA Cup or League Cup where he wasn't in the squad, and you could see like the frown on his face that he was just not involved. He still speaks so glowingly about Klopp. It's football. Like Alex Ferguson was the best at getting the best out of his players. He got the best out of average players at United, who now have like decent credibility as footballers. Klopp's the exact same. And I think I'd rather that strength over the potential weakness it brings than whatever.
Steve, I pretty much agree with Selection Super Chat here. Klopp says things he doesn't appreciate the Super Chat, my friend. He says, Klopp says things he doesn't really mean at times. Ox has a dynamic he can't find in the market, yet plays Milner and Jones ahead of him. New midfielder needed, or need something. This is my only argument with you, or sticking point with you. It's fine if he trusts him and he plays him, Steve. Then I would see the sense in keeping him as a stock player, as a squad player, and utilize his strengths when needed. Do you get where I'm coming from? Like he doesn't use him. He didn't use him. And he's right. He used Milner and Jones ahead of him last season when we thought Ox might get a chance. on the basis of that, I get what Omar's saying, and I agree with Omar saying I much prefer all the positive side to his loyalty, because he is the man he is, and he's brought us where he is because of the man he is. So we can't start only wanting the good bits and disregarding his possible weaknesses, right? It doesn't work like that.
No, it doesn't. And if Fulham up their offer by £4 million, as we've said 10 minutes ago, he'll probably go. Or he'll be offered the opportunity to speak to Fulham. Whether he goes then is up to him, because I think Fulham are going to have quite a long season, so maybe he doesn't fancy that. With regards to the Milner and Curtis Jones comments, they don't play in the same position. He's not an orthodox centre midfielder for a start. He's a guy that picks up the ball in the final third and drives on. When we used to play deeper back four, and we didn't push up to the halfway line, there's a lot more space for him to play in, because we've compressed our style of play and we push our centre backs up to the halfway line. When our midfielders pick up the ball, there isn't 30 yards in front of them to drive into and get a shot off, as Manchester City found out.
Yep.
Oxlade-Chamberlain is very good at that. So our style of play hasn't helped him. So if you were to bring him on and play him instead of, let's say Fabinho picked up an injury 20 minutes into a game, you don't look at Oxlade-Chamberlain to come on and sit in Fabinho's position and do that job, because he can't do it. Brighton game, he played in a midfield three. It was a passive midfield three, and in the second half they just walked through our midfield, and as a result of it, we didn't get a result we wanted. So for me, let's not tar and feather him by saying we put Milner in ahead of him because we don't trust him. We put Milner ahead of him because we have a capacity to pick up injuries with Thiago, Henderson and Fabinho more than we do with Mo Salah, where Oxlade-Chamberlain would probably be a better fit to come on 20 minutes into a game to play on the right side of a front three, because he's been doing that for years. I think if £10 million comes on the table, then he goes. But I think, I said before, I think Klopp's quite relaxed about it. Whether you agree with that or not, and whether it's blind faith and blind loyalty, who knows? These guys do what they do for 63 games a season because of the way that Klopp treats them, because of the way that Klopp throws his arm around them and makes them feel like $1 million. And he will do that till the second they walk out of the door. And the best example I can give you of that is the love that he still has for Adam Lallana, who has gone, but Klopp still eulogises and waxes lyrical about the man he was in the football club. Oxlade-Chamberlain may well not start the season with Liverpool Football Club. It would be sensible for him not to. But if they make the decision that he stays and he plays the cup games, because I said to you before, Grizz, how much did playing all of those cup games, the finals, the semi-finals, how much impact did that have on what was left in the tank at the end of the season? Maybe we've proved the point now that we can win cup trophies and we go back to flooding it with juniors and kids with 3 or 4 senior players, your Oxlade-Chamberlains, and he plays those games for the remainder of his time. And it is a lot of money. It'll be about £5 million between now and the end of the season, or maybe £8 million that he'll get as a Liverpool player. But we make that back in gate receipts. So we're not really losing any money. And this point before about buy to sell, it can't be buy to sell for £10 million. We have not sold Oxlade-Chamberlain for £10 million because we want to go and buy another midfielder for £12 million. We want to buy 50, 60, 70, 80, £100 million midfielders to take us to the next level over the next 10 years. So Holmes is right. He gets a raw deal off the Liverpool fans. Sometimes he deserves it. His future lies elsewhere. I think we can all see that. His body language tells you that his future lies elsewhere. Somebody just needs to come in and free him from the obvious pain he's in being a squad player with the games that we're using. But if he stays, he stays. And there's no point. There's bigger things to worry about than Oxlade-Chamberlain staying at the football club till the end of the season.
What?
I think you've nailed it, because I think that the frustration is with the fact that the way Jurgen Klopp has added to the call for reinforcements in midfield by saying, unless someone leaves or unless someone comes to me and tells me they want to leave. And you're right, that has caused, I don't think Jurgen Klopp meant it this way, but it's caused a lot of extra, I don't know what the word is, vitriol, hate towards Ox, like get out, etc. And we're just not that club. He's just not that manager. We're just not that people. Sorry, Gomez, you were saying something under your breath?
No, yeah, he's added fuel to the fire. I was just interested by
Fuel
this
to the
comment.
fire. That's it. Yeah.
I was interested by this comment. So we saw, right. I just want to open this up to the chat as well, because we saw Ox play at right wing during AFCON, and I thought he did a decent job. Right. For me, ideally, I wouldn't want this to be the situation, but say we have, so we're quite loaded for numbers in midfield. What if? So everyone's saying Fabio Carvalho could be like the backup to Salah on that side. What if Fabio Carvalho goes into that midfield and he's in our midfield plans, and Ox is that backup right wing? Would you?
I don't see him. I don't see him as an option for Salah. He's an inverted left-sided player. I don't see him playing on the right. If Salah got injured, Diaz or Jota will go into that position. Probably Diaz, because I think he's better suited to going around people on the right-hand side. So I don't think Carvalho's in the equation. But if we needed to play Oxlade-Chamberlain for 3 weeks as a right-sided midfielder, which included a cup game, I don't think Klopp would have any hesitation in considering that. So, the poor blokes, you know what I mean? The poor guy is on the end of all kind, like Grizz says, vitriol. It's about, people say our fan base is terrible about misunderstanding the context of the things the manager says, and that's because they're all 20 years old and don't understand what context means to some degree. There's a lot of people who take things totally the wrong way. He's not saying to Oxlade, you shouldn't be in our club. He's saying, if anyone doesn't want to be here, come and knock on my door and we'll make moves to get you out of the football club. And that's the right thing to do. That's absolutely the right way to go about that. Yeah. But the difficult thing is he's miles down the pecking order, which makes him a really easy target.
That's the problem. I even think, and people are coming in with the shout as Cade Gordon as well. First, what Tom says, I think Harvey is being played a lot on that right wing. Like I predicted, he will be if we change the system to a target man and then 3 behind the target man, which they have been training a lot with. And we will see as the season progresses. Yeah. I think that will be played a lot with Thiago, Fabinho at the base, or a Keita and Fabinho, or a Hendo, and you get the gist what I'm saying. And then the Elliots, the Carvalhos, and the Diazes behind the target man. Obviously Salah as well. Amongst I'm just giving the options, and that's why I think that we could. I agree with. I don't know. It's a tricky one. The real answer is I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't know what to do with it. The situation. Go on, before we move on.
I like Tom's shout about Elliot at right wing. I think we need to, if we're trying to model, have a sort of precedent on how we're going to use Harvey Elliott, it's probably we want to look at how Pep Guardiola used Phil Foden. So Foden was used, and he still is he's used everywhere in the midfield three, in the front three. I think because we've got so many numbers in midfield, you can probably afford to have the likes of Carvalho and Elliott playing in that front three a lot more, and all of a sudden your front three, your depth in the front three is so much better. So I'd be keen. I think stylistically as well, Elliott's probably the closest player in the mold of Mo Salah on that right hand side, being a naturally inverted player. So I like that shout, but then again, it leaves Oxlade-Chamberlain in a bit of limbo, where it's right.
I don't think it's in limbo. Ohms, I genuinely don't think it's limbo. He knows there's no future for him here. It's just a case of if someone comes in for him that satisfies both his and the club's needs, he will go.
Yeah.
If that doesn't happen, he's very happy to sit out his contract and get that signing on fee and wages, which he's absolutely entitled to. Same way as Ste has said, I think Klopp is comfortable with the situation of having 4 or 5 players ahead of him and players that he trusts. This is the bit where we have to remember Klopp trusts Curtis Jones and Elliott ahead of him. And he shows that by picking them. It's not as though he doesn't pick them and then we can go mad at Klopp by saying, well, you fucking don't pick anyone. You keep picking the same players again and again and again. He doesn't. He does play Jones and Elliott ahead of him, which suggests that's where the bit I agree with Steve, that he's comfortable. So if someone wants to take Ox, Pay what we're asking, which is around the 12 million figure, 12 to 15 million, or we're very happy to sit on him and then sell him or let him go next season.
So that two things. First one, Taki Minamino was loaned out to Southampton. Nobody expected him to come back to the football club. He came back to the football club, was 7th choice centre forward, and scored the most goals in the League Cup and was pivotal in our FA Cup run. That's exactly the same thing Oxlade-Chamberlain could do. The second thing, I just want to go back to Tom Little's comment, the one that you picked up on, Holmes, is I wouldn't consider playing Harvey Elliott as an orthodox winger because we still don't know whether he's got any pace. He doesn't play that way. He doesn't ever stretch his legs. Our transition is really, really quick. So you think of the goals that Mo Salah scored, particularly against Arsenal, where he charged down Hector Bellerin's attempted pass and ran the full length of the pitch and scored. Harvey Elliott, for me, wouldn't even try and make that run because he doesn't have that pace. So where we play a quick transition and where we play, to hit people hard and fast, and it's been our way under Klopp since day one, I don't see Harvey Elliott in that role. I don't see Harvey Elliott being the guy that
I don't.
He's not an outball. He absolutely is not an outball.
I'd like to think we'd be able to adapt though slightly. So but
the adaptation would come through having a target man. I'm saying target man. People are imaging Steve Ball, but you know what I mean. A number 9 right ahead of him. So as an outlet, because you see him play that ball in so many times, he always wants to play. Harvey Elliott is a type of player that wants to play with another player, if you know what I mean. The wall pass, he loves using the wall pass, for example, right? Mohamed Salah just needs to isolate you one-on-one and you're dead. He's a different type of player to Mohamed Salah and Harvey Elliott. And I think it's quite apparent. Harvey Elliott is more of a playmaking inverted winger. So he needs someone to play with.
That's the point. Sorry, Holmes.
Yeah, go on.
Harvey Elliott wants to be the guy that unlocks that pass that gives Mo Salah 40 yards of space to run onto a ball and score, not be in the other position. And it could happen even with Darwin Núñez playing, who'll be good in the air, so will offer us a little bit of defensive cover on set pieces against us as well, and corners and things. And we've scored so many breakaway goals from corners. Elliott's the man you give the ball to play that pass that splits the defence for someone like a Salah, or years gone by a Mane to run onto, or a Diaz to run onto, or even a Diogo Jota who's quicker than he looks, is much faster than he appears to be. Elliott wants to be the guy that unlocks the team rather than the guy that is picking up the ball and trying to run 50 yards. That's how I see it anyway.
Just let you add on to that where I quickly put it on slow mode. I think I forgot to put it on slow mode and all the dickheads are in.
You got
Go on.
Nice. Big fan there, Grizz. I think it's so hard to replicate what Salah's got though. So if we don't have someone that's like for like, we don't have someone with the pace and with the penetration that's also left-footed, an inverted player like Salah. We just don't, which is why we have to play the likes of Diaz and Jota on the right-hand side, which it just doesn't feel right, if you know what I mean, when they're out there, because of the style of play. So I think we have to, if we can't match Salah's sort of impact, then we're gonna have to. I feel like we're gonna have to adapt, and I feel like but we are though. I think we're trying that in training. I think we're going to see that in the next few games, that we are trying to, and even the purchase of Núñez suggests that we are adapting or becoming more flexible in the way we're going to attack. I think it helps with having Trent down that side, where Trent early stages of his career, overlapping a lot, whatever, and now last couple of seasons, coming inverted, playing more in the middle of the pitch, Henderson going on the overlap. I feel like there hasn't been I guess with Salah, Henderson, and Trent, they know their patterns of play like the back of their hand. But I just think if you had Elliott off the right, there's still a way to get the best out of him, because we have, like you said, someone like Núñez who he can play off. If you had a Jota on the other side who sort of does the stretching, I agree. You need people stretching. I think Núñez as well, like you said, he's not Peter Crouch. He's rapid,
mobile.
mobile, very, very, very quick. But I think we have to accept that if we don't have a Salah, someone akin to Mo Salah, then let's try and cut our losses and try and maximize our game in another way. I strongly feel like we can do that. I think these are top level professional footballers. There's not just one way to a system. I agree Klopp has quite a stubborn system, but I feel like there's a way to overcome it and be a bit more unpredictable in that sense.
I think that's what we're working towards, and selection's pretty much nailed it. He says Elliot is a given goal type player, can't play right wing. I think what Steve said was right, orthodox right wing. I think what Steve meant. I think I think he can play on the wide right when Trent is given a different type of role, and then there's a striker alongside him as well, in front of him. Sorry, he's better useful as a creative or someone to manipulate with. I think that's pretty much it. But listen, we've got to move on. That's a great little chat about what we think of Ox and Elliot. But something else that I wanted to bring in mind is a bit of bad news. Diego Jota, we know, returned to preseason off the back of a hamstring injury we discussed. So Jurgen Klopp spoke about sort of he finished the training session with another reoccurrence of possibly that injury. For personally, very much a damp squib to the excitement of preseason. I hate when this kind of thing happens, and especially to someone as crucial and key as I think Diego Jota would have been to the settling in of Nunes. Because I've said it, I think if Jota was fit and healthy, there's very much a chance he would have been the starting striker for the first couple of games while Nunes settles in. Steve, a bit of a blow.
Yeah, it's a blow. And if it's a reoccurrence, we don't know how long this is going to be. There's clearly quite a lot of rehabilitation, strengthening, and conditioning to do to get that back to a stage where you can explode. Because hamstrings are the first things that go when you sprint, when you accelerate. So hopefully that they'll have a scan and we'll see what grade it is, and we'll know how long he's out for. Bigger concern for me than that one, because we're not short of numbers up top, was the news that Alisson felt some discomfort. It's on the same article there.
Yeah.
And was another one feeling not 100% and sat out training. I don't think Alisson's involved tomorrow, is how I'm sort of reading between the lines, but we shall see. But better to get those injuries now with a month to go, or however long it is to go, and hopefully certainly Alisson's case, we can give him what he needs to get back. This is going to be a bit more difficult for Diogo Jota. I don't know how severe that injury is for it to reoccur when they thought he was ready to train fully is a little bit of a concern, isn't it?
It is, man. I'm gutted for the guy. He would have been so motivated, Ohms, with the signing of Diaz and then Nunes, even Carvalho to a certain degree. He would have had the bit between his teeth and really wanted to show Klopp in preseason that, hey, don't forget about me. You know, there's a whole fucking song dedicated to me. So I'm really gutted. I'm not going to lie about this, but I also agree with Steve that we seem to be okay in terms of numbers and quality wise in that department, as long as it's nothing serious or deep. The other one is concerning because Kelleher was left out of the preseason tour with a slight injury, and Alisson, again, nothing serious, another slight injury. Bit of a disappointment, both things, right?
Yeah, for me, I feel like Alisson should be okay. Like, fingers crossed. But the Jota one for me, like in terms of the length, feels more concerning. And I think he gives something to our front line that is so invaluable, and that's just being able to constantly produce outcomes and goals and be involved, like in like goal contribution. Like, everyone can talk about his hold up play, his link up play, whatever, but football is a sport where you have a ball and you want to put it in the net, like simply put. And he's got that sort of intangible feeling to him where you can have all these stats saying, "Oh, how bad his every
touch
part of the game
was, her pass, his XG, and then suddenly
he scored so many. I can't remember how many games he scored like the opening goal in a game. Like he for a period of time, like he was popping up anywhere and everywhere, and like he won us that League Cup semi-final pretty much single-handedly. People forget he's inevitable, and you just need players like that. So I agree. I'm gutted for him because he's probably got the grit between his teeth and saying, right, I was in your first choice front three for a long time. I was your second main output for goals and for most of the season. Now Diaz is here, Nunes is here, Carvalho is here. Like, I don't want to go down the pecking order. So it's that whole sense of like competition brings the best out of people.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's exactly it. Because do you remember Bobby raised his game as well when Jota first came in? Do you remember, guys? And Bobby raised his game, and then we all saw what happened to Mane when Diaz came in. Do you know, Mane went up a level, and now possibly, you know, we would have seen Jota go up another level after seeing Nunes come in. And you're right, Holmes. I'm gutted for the lad. You're right. We do need, and I like the way you described him in terms of his attributes and what he brings to Liverpool. Again, very early on, I got a lot of abuse when I said he's not technically great, and they were like, "How dare you say that? Look at the some of the goals he scores." Well, I think I've been proved right. He's not technically great. Doesn't mean he's not good or very good. I just said great technically, right? He's very, very capable technically. But what he brings to the team is different. All our attackers bring something different. And what he brings is tenacity, the desire to keep going, and inevitability. Like, he can have the most crappiest games, but he'll pop up with a goal. And the most famous one from last season, for me personally, because I was there and I was surrounded by Liverpool fans in the rain, in the wet, away to Arsenal. They were like, take off Jota, take off. And I was like, guys, relax. If a chance falls to him, he's the best, more likely to score. And lo and behold, he has that knack. I guess, the best way of saying he's got that knack of being in the right place at the right time.
He often doesn't run, and all the players around him run, and he finds himself in space. And the second goal in the League Cup final against Arsenal was absolutely superb. The finish, the outside of the left foot over the advancing Ramsdale. I get totally what both of you guys have said, but I also understand the frustrations when play breaks down because he's not technically brilliant, as you said, Grizz. And that will always be a part of his game that we'll have to accept, because when you get to 25, 26 as a footballer, you don't necessarily improve as a player. You improve because of the system they put you in. So when Klopp joined the club, Henderson improved immeasurably because of the system that was created where we could get the best out of his attributes. He didn't necessarily improve as a footballer. He improved in his contribution to the game because of the system, because of the game plan. And that's where Jota's benefited playing in a Liverpool team that creates chances. He scored goals none of the other guys would score because of his willingness to try and get in behind. For a guy that started as a left winger, he's got an uncanny knack of timing his runs and getting into positions to score goals, which is cool. And you don't get 20 goals a season without being, exactly his goal against Nottingham, without being a finisher and a bit of a predator. We don't have a predator. Nunes might become one. We have to see.
Yep.
Salah should be on Messi numbers. The amount of chances he gets and his conversion rate could be better, but we forgive him that because he's still Golden Boot winner. He's still Mo Salah, and he's still, first half of last season, the best player on the planet. He should be putting up Messi numbers. Mane was quite missed a few chances in front of goal as well when you think it'd be easier to score. Champions League final, he had a good chance towards the end to score, and he didn't even hit the target. That's not knocking him because the guy's tremendous. He did a great job for us when he was with us. But of all of the forwards we've got, Jota is the one that is the predator, is the one that thinks like a number 9, gets into positions. Bobby drops deep and plays in the pocket. His spatial awareness is brilliant. We don't know much about Nunes and how prolific he's going to be. Diaz will chip in with 15 to 20 goals of that, I'm sure. Mo's Mo. And, how nice is it to be able to say that? Salah is Salah, we know what he's going to do. But Jota is the guy that through the middle will get you goals because he's got this willingness to run in behind. And we don't see that from anybody else yet.
Yeah,
I think,
no, it's quite nice.
I was just saying, like, just like sort of third person in like our conversation, and like just what I'm thinking about, like when I normally have football conversations. I think it's so easy for us fans to like even though we appreciate these players so much, it's so easy for us to just pick on these top class players like their weakest spot. So like when people talk about Jota, like one of the first things people say is his touch. When people talk about, I don't know, Firmino, it's like, oh, he didn't score enough goals. Oh, Mane, he can't take people on. Like, I get that. But sometimes like we don't want to get too caught up in that. And sometimes like it's so hard though, because like I do it so much. When you think about a footballer, you want them to be perfect, but no footballer is perfect. Like the closest thing you can get to perfection is Lionel Messi, right? So I guess we just got to, I think as a fan base as a whole, let's just appreciate like what each player brings. And I think Grizz, you made such a good point. Each of our forwards are so different, which is the beauty of it. Like their best traits are all different. Like Salah's is probably being able to get into the right position at the right time and just whatever he does on the right side. Diaz's like isolation game is like his best aspect. Nunes, we don't know. He might be like an unbelievable poacher. We know Jota's poaching is great. Firmino's link-up play. So I think that's one of my favorite things about our forward line. The fact that we have all these sorts of outputs that are different that sort of come together as well, and it just works, if you know what I mean. Yeah.
I think just a little bit of devil's advocate, but not too much. I think sometimes the fans get frustrated because in tight games, when things aren't going well and we're not winning a game at a canter, when you fire a ball into somebody's feet and it bounces off them, and that happens sort of 3 or 4 times in the last 10 minutes, when you need a goal, there's a frustration, and that frustration's felt in the ground. It's not a Twitter thing; it's felt in the ground that we've been brought up on players who are great with their back to goal, and that unfortunately is courtesy of having players like Kenny Dalglish, Kevin Keegan, Peter Beardsley, John Barnes, all players that could play with their back to goal and do it with panache and style and very successful in it. I think sometimes these players can be a victim of what we've achieved in the past, but there are times, and fans are okay being frustrated by when things don't go well with players. You do have a point. We are quick to be sort of tag people and quick to jump on people's back, but I get the frustration with some of the things that go on, and I think everybody in this conversation now and most of the people in the chat would have cursed at the telly when something hasn't gone well for a player that's been in a really, really strong position and not used the ball properly. So that will never go. I'd rather have him than not have him. So I hope he gets fit soon and he comes back and scores us another 20 goals, because if he can do that next season, at the end of the year when they're handing out the pots of silver and the medals, we'll be in the running, because we need players like that.
I remember that game Grizz was referring to, the Arsenal away. Like when I was watching it, I was calling for Jota to be subbed. I was like, he's having a stinker here. So it just sums us up. Like I completely agree with Steve. Like it's like we all get frustrated. It's just natural. So yeah. No,
he's got that. I mean, hopefully it's nothing too serious. He is a quick healer. And someone mentioned in the chat that he didn't have much injuries at Watford or Atletico Madrid. So hopefully it's nothing too serious. We know he missed a chunk of was it last season or the season before he had that injury?
Season before.
Season before, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But before we finish up and speak about sort of what we'd like to see as a lineup to start tomorrow, or any particular combinations that we want to see, just want to remind people of what Spartan says. There is a membership open on this channel now, and obviously people want to know what you get for the price of a chicken burger meal. which what it is really, chicken burger meal these days, isn't it, Holmes? But is that the price of a chicken burger meal these days?
$3.99. Yeah, exactly.
We've got your let's see. So you have like Pixelated Pigeon. You have first option on your comments being read out, interaction, and we have something coming up, which is going to be the question and answer show throughout the season. Steve gave me a brilliant idea for it today. And there you go. Pixelated Pigeon sends in another. And you will have access to that show. So I want all of you guys to be interacting with us, guys. And the members will have priority to come on and have a question and answer with us. So loads to look forward to. Steve, look forward to tomorrow. Who are you looking forward to in terms of combination or a certain player or a team? If you've got a team in your head that you might want to see, how do you want
I'd
to do
like to
this?
see us start strong. I'd like to see what happens with these young lads when we bring them on the pitch when we're winning the game rather than chasing the game, because that's a much more difficult thing to do. So I'd like to see us start with a proper centre-half partnership. I think Adrian will play. I'll start the game purely because of the situation with Alisson. I'd start both the full-backs. I'd start with a proper back four, and then my rotation a little bit more would be I might go with Morton in midfield to start with, and rotate it a little bit up top as well. Just purely because let's build a foundation to go and have a good game of football. The Manchester United game was played at a stretch because we gave them opportunities, we gave them goals that were bad decisions in defending, mistakes in defending, however you choose to call it. But I just want to see us start well and start strong and get a goal. Let's get in the ascendancy before we
goal.
Yeah. But get these young lads on when there's something for them to enjoy. So they come onto the pitch and think, we're 3-0 down against Manchester United. I really could do with not going on now, because that will enter people's heads. Rather than going, we're turning up, the team's playing really well, I want to go on and show what I can do. It's the Phil Foden factor, where Manchester City brought him on when they were 3-0 up, and he often scored the fourth goal. So that was a perfect way of introducing him to the side.
Spot on.
We need to do that with our kids.
Spot on. Ohms, anything that you particularly want to see tomorrow?
You're gone.
Yeah, just or combination or a player.
Yeah, it's for me, it's the combinations. So like, I want to see Diaz and Nunes play together. And then I think for me, the two players I for some reason I think most people are getting drawn to them is Carvalho and Elliott. I think there's such a buzz around them, and so I think them two. I'm really, because with Carvalho, he's new, and like so you want to see the new signings in preseason, and then Harvey Elliott, like there's been so much hype, so much talk about him. He looks sharp. Like I want to see that now on a football pitch. So give me as much Harvey Elliott content as you can, essentially. Fair
enough. I was gonna say I want to see a Salah goal. I just want to see a Salah goal. I just miss Salah goal, especially with his contract, since his contract and everything. It would be amazing. You can imagine most of the ground will be there to see Mohamed Salah. But I've changed my mind. The way the news of Jota injury, the way Nunes is getting pressured by the media and the fan base already, I just want to see a Nunes goal ASAP, straight away. Get out the system, get it done with, and I think I'll be happy. The only dilemma, guys, before we wrap up, is to do a watch along tomorrow. I'm not sure. I will decide in the next hour or so. People, stay tuned. What we on in terms of likes? Anyone of the mods know what we're on in terms of likes? If we can get a nice, decent number of likes, then I'll do a watch along and sit with you guys and have a chat about it while we go through the game.
We're on 156.
That's a bit embarrassing. All right. Well, yeah. Well, I don't know if we can reach 200 because that's a bit low for me. But if we can reach 175, I'm easy. You know me, I'm not a demanding guy. But if we can get like 200 likes, that'd be amazing. But yeah, look, in terms of lineup tomorrow, I want to see a few combinations in and around the team. I like the idea. I like the idea of a strong back four, Steve. And I very much like your idea of starting strong and start introducing the youngsters if we've got a lead and they can enjoy themselves and relax, as opposed to, even though there won't be absolute no pressure to try and get a result, but sometimes you tend to come on if you're losing 2-1 or 1-0. Sometimes you automatically tend to feel the pressure of you need to do something, and that's not the best way to introduce a youngster who's already going to be nervous. There was news about Gomez that he finished training early as well, walked off, but apparently they said it seemed like he was fine afterwards. So that's one to keep an eye on. If that's the case, I wouldn't be surprised if Vandenberg gets a few minutes. Any of you guys surprised that he hasn't had a few minutes, even if this in the shopping window?
Yeah, because he played. He came away from. I know Ben Davis was exactly the same, but he came out of Preston North End at the end of the season with a lot of credibility for his performances. They were really pleased with him. I think he should have a game or some minutes. I totally agree. Instead of Reece Williams, because Reece Williams made a pretty bad mistake and then was like couldn't catch Martial.
But it's so Klopp to bring Reece Williams back in again, isn't it?
Yeah,
to show that he can do it.
Like that to everybody, isn't it? Yeah. I just think, whilst I said to you off air, the results are not important. He will pay as much attention to the result tomorrow as he would the game last Thursday at the AXA. He's not really interested in that. He wants to see people playing football. He wants to see who's got the spring in the step. He wants to see who's retaining the information that's being given to them. And the point you made about these kids, we're 2-0 down to Manchester United, then 3-0 down, and we're bringing these young bodies on, and they're on the line, and you can see Linders saying to them, it's okay, it's cool, go and enjoy yourself. The moment they cross that whitewash and go on the pitch, they've forgotten everything he said, and they're under pressure because they're playing for Liverpool. Liverpool are not in a great position against Manchester United. So to echo my point again and to completely agree with you, give these guys a game when we're winning. You might see something a bit different from them where they can go in. The hardest thing to do in football is to relax. It's the hardest thing to do. You can do it when you go on when you're winning. You can't when you're losing.
Yeah, I think Mesut Ozil would disagree. His problem wasn't relaxing. It was trying to get motivated the other way around. But he was a one-off. We look forward to tomorrow. Omar's flopped on me. I think I will decide to do a watch along tomorrow. I think I'm going to get it set up now. I don't know. I'm probably going to be doing it on my own, which is quite sad, but it is what it is. It's pre-season. Well, I don't know if I'd invite you on next time, son. You know, the way you're going. The way you're going on, yawning in midstream, and changing the where you're situated in terms of hierarchy on the thing.
I'll put myself there.
Exactly. That's how it should have been. But Steve's not the type to make a big hoo-ha like you.
I'm not precious. You can put me over there. I don't care.
Yeah, Steve's not precious like you. But people, hopefully tomorrow will be a bit more fun. I guess, like Man United wasn't fun because of the result, but it was still exciting to see the lads and most of the lads. We'll sort it out tomorrow. We'll have a post-match reaction tomorrow. Of course we will. I'll see who out of the team can join me for that. I may have a Daily Grizz to do the roundup show as well in around 7 p.m. So loads of content coming.
3 shows.
We really, really appreciate your support. We really, what?
That was it. Steve, did you hear that from Grizz's mic? Very strong.
Strong what?
Like it got really loud really quickly. Was that?
Are you trying to say that that's the only time I've spoken to the mic correctly? Because that might.
No. I just think it's the angle. Chat, back me up.
Okay. I don't know. Hello. That was all the angle.
I've got to say that's a really random call you've just tried to make there, mate. I don't get it. I thought you were accusing them of yawning or something while I was speaking.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, tomorrow I predict 3-1, 4-1. I predict 4-1 to Liverpool tomorrow. That's my prediction. Steve, first prediction of the season, son. Let's get it on.
4-2, I think. But they've got loads and loads and loads and then loads of injuries, so they might not even.
Well, predict accordingly then.
Estimated. I'm gonna say. I'm going to agree with you. I think 4-1's a really good shout, and I do think it's a good shout.
Okay, fair enough. Holmes, what's your incorrect prediction?
So my correct prediction is 2-0. And the goal scorers, I can tell you now, people are going to be Harvey Elliott and Darwin Núñez.
There's no way it's going to be 2-0 now tomorrow.
If that comes off,
clip it. Get that clipped.
There's no way there's only two goals tomorrow. I guarantee you that.
Watch.
Okay,
if it's 2-0 and those are the goal scorers, surely like there's a little prize in there for me or something.
I'll give you free membership to my channel.
Nah.
How is that? What a prize. I mean, look at that. William's a channel member. Look at that. He says 4-2. People, before Holmes talks me into giving him something he's really not worth, we hope to see you tomorrow. Thank you very much for joining us. It's been a pleasure joining you, joining us, chatting to you, chatting to us. We're out of here. Take care. Bye-bye.